you, Seckin. Last time I introduced the class as Sociology 101, and I talked about global inequality. To refresh your memory, this is Sociology, Introduction to Sociology 101 class, and in a regular semester, I cover, the professors who teach Sociology 101, we cover approximately 16 to 19 different chapters each week, 16 to 19 different topics. And I have to accomplish this task within 3 weeks period. Of course, there will be, I'm not going to be able to cover everything, but I'll do my best. And so today I wanted to show you a different topic from the last week. And also an important thing is that the students who are enrolled in this class, they are freshmen, and probably this is the first time that they are taking any sociology class, and usually they have no background. So it is important for me that I'll make this class as interesting for them as possible. And I can lecture, I can talk about sociological theories, I can talk about people who lived in 18th century in France and make it boring for them. Or I can make it as relevant to their life, their current life, the current times, the society in which they live. So I come up with exercises for each different topic so they can see the relevance of sociology and how real sociology can be applied to real life. So the topic that I chose, actually I chose 2 topics. One of them is, this was from the last week, one of the first topic I chose is mass media and social construction of reality. And going back to previous slide, again, in this class, I plan to have online exercises, online student discussions, online response papers, and online quizzes. Okay, so one of the objectives is to use sociology to think about how race and ethnic relationships are portrayed in the media, and how media shapes and forms our conceptions about the notions of race, ethnicity, the prejudice, stereotypes, etc. And I will prepare a grid like this, and what I'm going to ask them, watch 1 or couple hours of TV. And I'm going to ask them to number of the, in each program they saw, how many of them were African Americans, how many Caucasians, Hispanic, Asian, etc. Who were the leaders or the main character, the central figure in each episode. Bad guys, who were the bad guys? What race and ethnicity? When you see different race and ethnic backgrounds, are they tend to be portrayed as poor, lower class, or wealthier people or upper class people? Are they portrayed in non-stereotypical ways, like for example, African American attorney, for a female attorney? And a number of intercultural, interracial, interethnic interactions. So they are gonna tell you all that information. So the step 1 is collection of their data, and then they are going to post their grades on Blackboard. So they are going to share their grades with the class on Blackboard, and each student is going to do this, and they are going to interpret their results. Do they see a theme? Do they see a pattern? They are going to comment on their own findings and post on Blackboard. And this is going to be used to stimulate online student discussions. And each person will post, and the students are going to, as teams, they are going to reply to each other's grades. So this is going to be online discussion. Any questions so far?
Why will it stimulate discussion?
What's that?
Why will it stimulate
because
discussion?
the student, the grid here it's going to come up with data, with frequencies. And do they see, how do they see, do they see certain racial ethnic groups are portrayed in a certain way? So when they interpret the data, what do they see? And think about what results you have to say about the issues of prejudice, discrimination, and institutional discrimination. Do they see any prejudice, discrimination, or media reinforcing stereotypical ideas about different races and ethnic groups? So they are going to be, I hope that it's going to stimulate discussion. They are going to post like, okay, I found this, what did you find? How do you guys interpret these results? Do they agree with the findings? Did they find different results? And do they see certain stereotypical portrayals in certain types of TV shows? The commercials, do we see multiculturalism in TV commercials? When they watch programs, for example, Friends, are they all Caucasian, young, middle or upper class people? Do we see this diversity? So they are going to be able to interpret on their findings. That's what I hope.
Who decides what to watch?
What's that?
Who decides what they shall watch?
They are going to decide for them. So I'm not going to tell them you watch this. They are going to choose like 1 hour of TV watching, general mass media. It's not going to be directed to certain program. That's what I'm planning to.
I think it's a fantastic exercise linked directly to a learning goal. I'm wondering though if, given how young they are, they're going to be able to identify what it is they should be talking about.
Yeah.
And so in step 3, I'm thinking that maybe you could break it down, like some of the things you just highlighted. Is it tied to a certain type of show? Is it a crime show versus a drama versus a movie, an adventure, or something like that? Or is it commercials? You know, things like, because my first reaction is, what if they see nothing? Is that interesting if they see no pattern?
Yeah.
And if they see no pattern, I teach a field-based course in ecology, and often we see no patterns, and so I've got to make sure that that's interesting too. And so, especially as freshmen, what do I do with this number?
Andrea?
Well, another thing I was thinking is one of the things you said was, do they see any differences between their evaluations? If you had a pair of students watching the same 1 hour,
That's what I think too.
it would be interesting to see the comparisons of how they see things differently, how they view the same.
It's a good point. Then I have to choose if I do that or if I do as a second alternative.
You just tell them you can pair them and tell them that they have to choose the same hour of television, and they say, okay, Tuesday from 10 to 11 o'clock.
But if they have if they are not available, if they say, would it create lots of complications?
Yeah, I think now you can, you know, if what you don't want to do is be the one responsible for making the choice of what they watch, stick it on them. They'll do it. But what's going to stimulate the discussion is how they interpret the same thing
Differently.
If there's no common element to what they watched, even in a pair, I don't know what's going to stimulate. What's interesting is how people view the same things differently. And I think if you can sort of recreate that experience by minimally saying, I don't care what you watch, but make sure it's the same thing, and then see how they interpret it, that I think could be really interesting for the comparison.
Especially at a diverse school like UMBC.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a fantastic thing. You can take it and run with it in a lot of different ways. You can't, I mean, the online, this is exactly, in my opinion, what an online type of course can really, really engage students. It's neat.
Yeah, I'd maybe say, like, for instance, Tuesday night television between 5 and 10, and maybe even narrow it down a little bit more. Because the other thing is, I wouldn't be shocked at the absolute stupidity of some. I mean, it's okay if they're watching stupid things, but they may choose to watch things that don't really even. I'm thinking you want drama, you want comedy, But do you want other categories of shows now that,
The Biggest Loser.
yeah.
Discovery Channel.
Yeah, you might have a collection of, say, 10 shows.
So at least I should say like certain days, certain
I would.
hours.
Or even certain channels.
Well, I think
Or
And-
certain channels.
I think
Or
Andrew's
certain
idea.
channels, yeah,
Yeah,
actually.
because if you think, I don't watch MTV, but yet my babysitter does.
But-
You know, like, is that, and she's 17, so is that something, you know, that you're thinking about those channels, or what channels are you thinking?
Actually, I think, okay, we may not be watching MTV, but the student body, the student population,
Right.
what they watch, where they get their impressions.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, I think Andrew's idea is a good one, that if you were to even just constrain this a little bit more,
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
just a little bit more, by saying Tuesday nights 5 to 10. But then you put the burden on them and say, I don't care what it is, but you two agree what it is you're gonna watch.
So I should pair them, is it like
Or
a
let
common
them
sense?
choose
Or-
a partner.
Or let them,
Choose
but,
your
but the,
partner,
but the
so,
interesting
okay.
thing is
It's a very
that
good
their
idea.
watch in some, however, figuring out what they watch is really not the important thing. Whether you assign it to them or they figure it out themselves, that's really not the goal here. What's interesting is how do they view
Different
the same
ledgers.
thing?
Actually, this is a very good aspect to it.
Mhm.
How two people, do they see the same
Different
thing or do they
lenses.
different? And how do they interpret? Okay, that's a very good idea actually.
Given my experience with student schedules, you might want to not say a particular time slot they may be working then. Right. But you could have a range of time slots and say, okay, it has to be during these time periods, and you have to agree on what show you watch.
And you know, I just watched ER last night. All of the episodes of ER are now on NBC.com.
There are so many shows online
I mean,
now.
kids
Oh,
watch TV online now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't think
And
that this
actually,
is.
well, yeah, I
I'm
was gonna
showing my
say
age.
they've got them on
I'm
iTunes.
scared.
They've got them on iTunes.
Yeah.
They're $1.50, but
And a
for
lot
an
of people
episode,
have
but-
TiVo.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
They'll figure it out.
I don't think it's
You
that
could
big a
also
deal.
solicit if you want, make a wiki and say, post the things that you would think would be most interesting to watch, if your classmates watch it, take
There's
a
a
look
good
and see if
idea.
there's a
Yeah.
pattern, just
There's a
pick
good
one.
Yeah.
Okay,
Pick two.
that's a very good idea.
Well, and
Without
if
them
you want
knowing the assignment, before they know the assignment, because if they know the assignment, they may
Okay.
try to cherry pick
Then
shows.
pick a good one.
Yeah, yeah.
and
They
if you
pick
want
what's
them
more
commenting on the commercials, you're
For
gonna
those
need
ones
to tell them they have to
that
watch those too.
I was just gonna say that, and that's
We
the only
don't,
problem.
we don't watch commercials anymore.
Yeah, that's the only problem with the commercials too. Online, there's different
Doctoring. So they are gonna read, but in my face-to-face classes, they have the book, like a reader, for example, sociology reader. They read it and then they answer the questions and they formulate their own responses, what they think about the issues raised in the article. Do they agree with the author? What are the challenges presented in the article? So this time they are going to read it online. They are going to post their responses, or they are going to email to me. So it's like online instead of handing me a paper copy. Okay.
Good. Good.
I like that.